Hello there. I'm going to be driving, so I'm not going to be paying attention to the camera, just so you know. I don't want to be distracted. I'm going to tell a serious story about my great-grandma. I'm still in my driveway, so this is okay. My great-grandmother, YouTube doesn't like certain words. My great-grandmother was removed from Earth due to injuries suffered at the hands of another person. Was that said sensitively enough for YouTube censors? I hope so. So I was just, I don't know, I was probably 12, maybe 13. And my dad got a phone call that his grandmother and his great aunts and their cousin had been attacked. My great-grandmother got married when she was young. She and my great-grandpa raised 3 boys. My grandfather was one of them, and my dad is his son. And my great-grandma had a whole bunch of sisters and a brother. And by the time she was in her early 90s, if I'm remembering everything right, there were still 2 sisters alive. And those 2 sisters had never gotten married. They lived together in a house in town. After my great-grandpa died, my grandmother lived alone in her house. And one of her sisters had dementia. And I think the 2 sisters were in their 80s. I don't know all of the particulars. They had a cousin in her 70s. And the cousin had a house big enough that all 3 of them could move in and live with her, and then she could help them. She could help them take care of the sister that had dementia. She could help them get to their doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, and they would all 4 be together, and it would be awesome for everybody. It was the perfect arrangement. This cousin volunteered at a home of some sort. It might have been a halfway house, but it was for drug addicts for sure. Either recovering drug addicts or drug addicts that were just coming out of the penal system. I'm not exactly sure what the house was, but she volunteered there. I don't know what her career was when she was working, but I know that my great-grandmother was a housewife and a mother and a preacher's wife. And my great-great aunts were, one was a nurse and one was a school teacher. So the 4 ladies were living together in the cousin's house, and my aunties shared a bedroom, and my great-grandma had her own bedroom. And I'm assuming the cousin had her own bedroom as well. And the cousin decided to hire one of the men from the halfway house to come and do yard work for them, and then he could get some cash. And that's probably fairly common for people in that situation, where maybe if they don't have a lot of skills, maybe they do things like yard work for people. They might work in restaurants as dishwashers or fry cooks, or I don't even know, janitors in some places, but he was doing yard work for them. So he came to their house and he mowed the lawn, probably pulled weeds. This was a long time ago. I'm 62, so it was probably 50 years ago or so. Pulling weeds, trimming bushes, mowing the grass, doing the things. He knew everybody there. He knew there were 4 elderly women living in the house. And one night he decided, for whatever reason, to break into their house and attack them. I have to be sensitive with YouTube's delicate feelings. So all I'll say is he attacked my great aunties. He beat up the cousin. I don't know if he was looking for money and he wanted her to tell him where the money was, where the jewelry was. I don't know if he was there to rob them. I haven't seen the court case. I don't know the testimony, evidence, any of that stuff. I just know that he beat her up really, really badly. And then he locked my great-grandmother in her bedroom. It must have been a really old house with the skeleton keys where you can lock the door from inside the bedroom or outside the bedroom. So he locked her in her bedroom, and then he lit the curtains in the living room on fire and left. He left the cousin terribly beat up, really, really badly injured. He left my great aunties confused, very confused, and he left my grandmother to die in her bedroom. Well, nobody died that day. The firefighters came and all of the ladies were out of the house except my grandmother. Nobody knew she was in her bedroom. I don't know why. I guess in all of the confusion, nobody said, hey, there are 4 women living here, not just 3. But eventually they figured out there was still a person in the house, so they broke the door down to her bedroom or unlocked it, I don't know which, and they got her out. All of the women went to the hospital to be checked out for their injuries, and my great-grandmother was the only one who didn't recover. She recovered enough to go home, but there really wasn't any hope that she was going to recover. She had smoke inhalation that had poisoned her from all the toxic fumes in the house, from all the stuff burning. So she went to live with one of her sons and his wife, and his wife was taking care of her. And one day she went into my great-grandma's bedroom. She wasn't getting any better, she was getting worse, but my aunt went into the bedroom and my great-grandma said, shh, do you hear that? And of course my great-aunt didn't hear it. She didn't hear anything, right? She said, no, what do you hear? I'm paraphrasing from what I remember from 50 years ago, okay? My great-grandmother said, the angels, they're singing to me. And within a very short period of time, my great-grandmother passed away. Unfortunately, my aunties had to go into care facilities after that. I don't know what happened to the cousin. I assume she went home. She did heal, but the aunties were too, I don't know. They had to go live in a home. It was sad. This is my memory of it. So I looked up my great-grandma's obituary recently, and it said that she died after a short illness. And that bothered me because there was no short illness. She died from injuries sustained after a brutal attack by a sociopath who decided because she was old, her life didn't matter. And neither did her sisters or her cousin. So that's the story of my great-grandma. I wish I had a better story. I don't remember her very well, just because we didn't spend a whole lot of time with her. She lived several hours away from us. I remember her being nice. And I remember being really upset when she was killed. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? I don't think I'm allowed to use the K word. I'd like to find out more about it. I would like to see more about the trial, but I don't think I ever will. I don't see myself going to that city where she lived at the time. So that's the story of my great-grandma. She's with my great-grandpa now in heaven, so that's okay. And all of her sons are with her now, so that's okay, right? But it's a terrible way to go. Except for the angel part. Angels singing to you, that's got to be a reward. That's got to be a reward for a life well lived. That's a good thing. I'll stop rambling now.